You know that constant push and pull we all feel? That tension between trying to get ahead in this demanding world and, not losing our minds, not losing our inner peace? Well, believe it or not, there's an ancient solution to this very modern problem, and it's hidden in a text that's over 2,000 years old. Today, we're diving into Chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita to uncover a pretty profound strategy for action.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? The whole hustle culture screams at us to grind, to push, to chase that next thing. But then, a lot of spiritual advice says, hey, you need to step back, detach, maybe even withdraw completely to find any real peace. It feels like you have to pick a side. But what if you don't? What if that's a false choice? So this exact question was asked thousands of years ago, on a battlefield of all places, by a warrior named Arjuna. And you can hear the confusion in his voice, right? He's being told two things that sound completely opposite: renounce the world and act in the world. His plea for a straight answer is really the jumping-off point for this whole chapter.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with Arjuna's big question, then we'll look at the two paths he's being shown. We'll see which one gets the final recommendation and why. Then we'll get into the super practical lotus leaf principle. And finally, we'll see how all of this leads to finding real peace right in the middle of action.
So, let's just sit with Arjuna's question for a second. Yeah, he's a warrior on a real battlefield, but his problem? That's our problem. Do I retreat from all the challenges and the messiness of life, or do I dive in and engage with it all, head on? It's really a question about how to live a meaningful life.
In response to Arjuna's very valid confusion, Lord Krishna breaks down two totally different philosophies, two possible ways to find ultimate freedom, or what the Gita calls liberation. This is really the heart of the chapter. Do you renounce, or do you engage?
And here they are, side by side. On one side, you've got karma sannyasa. This is the path of renouncing action. You can picture it, right? It's the monk, the hermit, someone who physically withdraws from the world to meditate. But then on the other side, you have karma yoga, action with devotion. This path says, nope, stay right where you are, engage with the world, do your job, live your life, but completely transform your mindset while you're doing it.
So let's zoom in on that first one, karma sannyasa. This is probably what a lot of us think of when we hear spiritual path. It's the classic image of leaving it all behind, society, responsibilities, everything, to focus only on things like austerity and meditation.
But now look at karma yoga. This is where things get, well, honestly, revolutionary for us today. It's not about changing what you're doing. You still go to work, you still deal with family, you still engage with life. The entire revolution is internal. It's about performing all your actions, but without being attached to the outcome, and offering up the results to a higher purpose.
Okay, so you've got these two paths on the table: total renunciation or devoted action. Arjuna's basically asking, okay, which one is it? Which one's better? And Krishna doesn't hedge his bets. He gives a clear, straight-up verdict.
And the answer, for a deep philosophical text, is surprisingly direct. For most of us, in most situations, the path of action is actually superior to the path of renouncing action. And there you have it, straight from the source. Krishna makes it clear, look, both of these roads can get you to the destination. But, and it's a huge but, he says that action with devotion is superior. Now that is a game-changing idea that basically validates a life of engagement. So the next logical question is, why? Why is it better? The logic here is just so practical and elegant. Krishna's point is that you can't just decide to quit everything and expect to find instant peace. To truly renounce things, you need a pure mind, one that's totally free from desires. So, how do you get a pure mind? Well, that's where karma yoga comes in. Acting without attachment is the very tool you use to purify your mind. So for most of us, action isn't the problem, it's the solution. It's the first step. Okay, that sounds great in theory, but if we're supposed to act without attachment, what does that actually look like day to day? How do we do that? Well, Krishna gives us this absolutely beautiful and powerful metaphor to help us get it.
This right here is the lotus leaf principle. Just think about it. A lotus leaf sits right on the water. It lives in the water, it's supported by the water, but it never gets wet. The water just beads up and rolls right off. And that is the perfect image for what we're aiming for: to live in the world, to be fully engaged with everything, but to remain internally untouched by all the chaos, the wins, and the losses.
So how do we actually become that lotus leaf? The text lays out a pretty clear four-step guide. First, do your duty.
Don't run away from your responsibilities. Second, and this is the really tough one, abandon your attachment to the results. Give it your absolute all, but then let go of needing a specific outcome. Third, offer up the fruits of what you do, the good, the bad, all of it, to a higher purpose. And fourth, kind of reframe your whole motivation. You're not doing this for fame or money. You're doing it for your own inner purification.
Now, to help with this whole detachment thing, the Gita gives us an even deeper idea to chew on. It's this: you are not the ultimate doer of your actions. A wise person gets that, yeah, the body is moving, the senses are seeing and hearing and speaking, but that's just the machinery at work. The true self, the soul, is just the witness to all of it. And when you can make that mental shift, it's a lot easier not to take the results so personally.
Here's another amazing analogy for that. The body is like a city with 9 gates. You know, the 2 eyes, 2 ears, nostrils, and so on. The soul is just the resident living inside this city. It can live there happily, but it never confuses itself with the city's hustle and bustle. It knows it's just a place it's dwelling for a while.
So let's say you do this. You really practice being the lotus leaf. You start to see your body as this city of 9 gates. What's the payoff? What happens when you actually start living this way? Well, it leads to a state of being that is truly profound and completely transformative.
The ultimate reward, the highest state you can reach through this practice, is something called equal vision, and it's a total, fundamental shift in how you see the entire world. I mean, this is one of the most radical and beautiful verses in the whole text. To someone who is truly wise, the outer packaging is different, sure, but the divine spark inside is exactly the same. Whether it's a revered scholar, a cow, an elephant, or even the most marginalized person in society, they see the same divine essence in all of them. They see the unity behind all the diversity.
And that kind of vision, it brings this incredible, unshakable inner freedom. A person who really masters karma yoga finds a peace that doesn't depend on whether things are going their way or not. Their joy comes from inside. They're free from the constant pull of desire, fear, and anger. And because they genuinely see that divine spark in everyone, they can't help but work for the welfare of all beings.
So if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this: the path to real freedom and deep, lasting peace doesn't require you to run off to a cave somewhere. You don't have to give up your career, your family, your goals. You just have to fundamentally change your relationship to the actions you perform and the results that come from them. And that really brings us to the final question, a question for you. Because this isn't just some ancient philosophy, it's a practical tool you can use right now. So think about your week ahead. Maybe there's a stressful project at work, a tough conversation you need to have, or hey, maybe it's just doing the dishes. Where is one place you can consciously practice being the lotus leaf, doing the action as perfectly as you can, while completely letting go of the outcome? Now that's a question worth living with.